Ever feel like you're at a career crossroads? Like you need that extra something to reach that next level?
Yeah, like something is just missing.
Exactly. Well, that's what we're diving into today, finance certifications.
Oh, nice. Everyone loves a good certification.
Right. And we're using this list of the top 20 globally. It's amazing how many different options there are.
It really is. It seems like every area of finance has its own specialized certification these days.
Absolutely. But don't worry, we'll help you navigate it all. So let's say you're just starting out building that foundation. We actually found some amazing resources for complete beginners.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Well, for starters, you wouldn't believe this, Khan Academy. They have a whole section on finance and capital markets, totally free.
Seriously, free is always good. Though I have to admit, I sometimes wonder if those free resources are actually any good.
I hear you, but actually, people are saying really great things about Khan Academy, even those who are already working in finance.
Well, that's good to know. I always say no matter what level you're at, those fundamental concepts, they're crucial.
Couldn't agree more. But what about something a bit more, I don't know, structured? Maybe with some spreadsheets thrown in.
Now you're talking. Well, in that case, definitely check out Udemy. Their complete financial analyst and intro to corporate finance courses are super popular for a reason, very practical and affordable.
That's key, especially when you're just testing the waters. Okay, so let's say you've conquered those basics and you're ready to level up, specialize a bit.
Yeah, that's where the certifications start to become even more interesting. They offer this laser-focused knowledge to help you stand out from the crowd.
For sure. And one that really jumped out at me was the CFP, Certified Financial Planner.
Oh yeah, the CFP, personal finance is booming right now.
Totally. What's interesting about the CFP, though, is it seems like it's not just about the numbers. You're actually working directly with people and helping them achieve their financial goals.
It's true. It's a very personal side of finance, and you need to build trust with clients, understand their goals, and, even their fears. It's a big responsibility.
Absolutely. Now, for those who might be leaning more toward the business side of things, we found this one on the list. Cornell University's Financial Management Certificate.
Oh yes, Cornell. That one's known for being very practical. Gives you those real-world skills you can use right away.
Very cool. Okay, so we've talked about the foundations, some mid-level options, but now let's talk about the big leagues, the certifications that are like, okay, time to get serious.
The top of the mountain. We're talking about things like the CFA Charter, the gold standard for finance professionals, and then, of course, those prestigious MBA programs from schools like Harvard and London Business School.
Now we're talking serious investment, right?
Oh, absolutely. We're not just talking about a line on your resume anymore. These are life changers. But they require a significant commitment. Time, money, energy, you name it. The CFA, for example, notoriously difficult exams, and you need to be prepared to dedicate some serious time to studying.
I've heard horror stories like the pass rate for the CFA exams is something crazy low, right?
Yeah, historically it hovers around 40%. Less than half who even attempted actually pass.
Wow. So earning that CFA charter, it's a real badge of honor in the finance world.
You could say that. And then the MBA programs, those top tier ones, they're not just about finance. You're going to come out of there with a completely different perspective on business, leadership, everything.
Sounds intense. So big commitment, but also potentially huge rewards.
Exactly. But that brings up the question, with so many options, how on earth do you choose the right one for you?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? How do you choose?
It really is. And honestly, there's no easy answer, no one size fits all. The best certification for you, it depends on, well, your goals, your skills, even your learning style.
So where do you even begin? There's so many options, it can be overwhelming.
It all starts with asking yourself some tough questions, like what do you actually want to do? Where do you see yourself in 5-10 years?
Because a certification isn't just a checkbox on your resume, right? Yeah. It's an investment in your future.
100%.
And speaking of investments, I imagine budget is a big factor here too.
Absolutely. I mean, you've got everything from free resources like we talked about with Khan Academy to those MBAs with their, shall we say, hefty price tags.
You're not kidding.
Don't forget, too, there can be hidden costs. Study materials, exam fees, even things like maybe you have to take time off work to study. Those are all things to consider.
Right, because it all adds up.
It really does. And look, sometimes those pricier options, they can be worth it in the long run, but do your research. Look into scholarships. Think about your own financial situation.
Speaking of research, where do you recommend people go for, reliable information, besides our awesome list of the top 20, of course?
Oh, well, professional organizations are a goldmine. Most fields have associations, and they often provide really valuable resources. Things like recommended certifications, networking opportunities. Some even have mentorship programs.
Oh, cool. Networking, I imagine, is huge.
Oh, it's invaluable. Talking to people who are actually doing what you want to do, getting their insights, that can be so helpful.
Yeah, because they've been there. They know what it really takes.
Exactly. Don't be shy. Reach out to people, maybe program alumni, or even just people on LinkedIn who have the certification you're interested in. Ask them about their experience, study tips, career paths. You'd be surprised how willing people are to help.
Okay, so you've done your research, you've talked to people, and let's say you've narrowed it down to a few top contenders. What factors should you consider when making that final decision?
At that point, honestly, it becomes a lot about you. Your personal preferences, your learning style. Like, do you prefer a structured classroom setting, or are you more of a self-paced online learner kind of person?
Right, that makes a difference. And then there's also the question of do you want to specialize or go for something broader?
Totally. Some certifications are very niche, like they might make you an expert in something like risk management or forensic accounting. Others are more general. They give you a broader foundation in finance principles.
It's about finding that balance between depth and breadth, depending on your long-term goals.
Exactly. And then don't forget about the time commitment.
Oh, right, because some of these certifications, you could probably knock them out in a few months, right? But others, they might take years.
Exactly. And it's not just about the time it takes to get the certification. Some of them you need to do continuing education to keep them current.
Oh, that's a good point. So it really is a commitment.
It is. It's like tending a garden. You can't just plant the seeds and walk away. You need to nurture those skills over time if you want to stay competitive.
So we've covered a lot: your goals, research, budget, learning style. But I think some listeners might still be wondering, is there a magic formula? How do I know I'm making the right choice?
Wouldn't that be nice? A crystal ball that just tells you what to do?
Sign me up. But in reality, it's not that simple, is it?
It's not. Choosing a finance certification, it's a big decision. It's about figuring out what you're passionate about, what you're good at, and finding that path that feels both exciting and challenging.
It's about the journey, not just the destination.
Exactly. The real value of these certifications, it's not just about the letters after your name. It's the knowledge you gain, the skills you develop, and the confidence you build along the way.
It really is about the journey. And speaking of journeys, I noticed something kind of interesting on this list of the top 20 certifications.
Oh yeah, what's that?
Well, alongside the usual suspects like your CFAs and MBAs, there are some, shall we say, unconventional options popping up.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, so we're talking things like fintech certifications, sustainable finance, even data science applications in finance.
Oh, wow, yeah. That's a good point. It's not just about traditional finance anymore, is it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
It's like the whole industry is colliding with these other really interesting fields, creates a ton of new opportunities.
It really does, which is why I think it's so important to, keep an open mind with this stuff. Don't limit yourself.
So as we wrap up here, what's the one piece of advice you would give to our listeners who are, feeling inspired, maybe a little overwhelmed?
Honestly, don't be afraid to start small. You don't have to go from 0 to 60 right away. Sometimes just taking that first step, even if it's just signing up for a free online course, that can be enough to get the ball rolling.
I love that. It's about building that momentum.
Exactly. And remember, learning about finance, it doesn't have to be boring. It can be fun. It can be exciting.
Well said. And on that note, I think we'll wrap up this deep dive. It's been a pleasure exploring all these options with you.
Likewise.
And to our listeners, thanks for tuning in. And remember, keep learning, keep growing, and until next time, happy investing.